and hit the record button. Hi, Lisa Long. And let's try log on to Facebook. Well, okay. That would require knowing my password. Talk amongst yourselves.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Lisa, glad you have your mask on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I recognize that material.
Yes.
Why? I think she chose that one on purpose.
I know.
You recognize my placement?
I do.
Oh,
That's the warehouse.
Oh, yeah.
It looks
Hanging
like
out.
it's clean.
hey.
Oh, it's not. I can show you where it's not. Doo, doo, doo. I put myself on a cart, so I can just walk around the warehouse with you. If anyone missed it.
Ooh, lots
The
of
carts
people.
needed some love and use. They feel unused for so long.
Hi, Carrie. Let me just say, Lisa, your hair looks particularly good today. That is pretty awesome.
It is yet again another day that it just needs a wash, and since it needs washed, it just sticks up in protest.
Lovely.
Mine needs cut.
I literally,
Mine does too. It's too long.
when I sit in my car, my hair hits the roof, so I literally wore a hat so that I could fit in my car. Still take it off and it still pops up. So
That's half hair.
There's Karen.
That's
no,
Lisa.
but I feel like hat hair should keep it laying down.
Well, they
Okay,
have a
so-
ridge around the back.
Silent, Lisa.
You're recording it?
Yeah.
The mask, if anyone wants to know.
Oh, boy.
Betsy.
Look at all those
Okay.
tables, though. That's
Still
awesome.
have it mute and stuff. Right. Up here.
We're
Oh,
You're
neat.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh,
I got green screen, like a,
Here at the first you
so
want
there's a
the
whole
video,
bunch
so
more
they know you're.
chairs,
Then
some
this.
more tables,
Oh, there
the
we
mess
go.
that we left there.
So how dusty is it?
I don't know, I haven't touched things yet. I'm scared too. But look at this, we got some new parts.
Wow.
That's pretty.
Those are like serious
okay.
old school AV carts. That's what
Right? I mean, that's basically what the tan ones are too, but now we got 3 more of these tall ones. It'll be fun.
Stuff somehow multiplied while we were here.
Did I miss it, or is there no Sean?
Sean is over there in the far corner.
That's that's where he likes to stay.
Social distancing.
He's currently shopping.
Oh, of course, I should have known. Sorry.
It's okay. Life happens.
Did we lose the Betsy?
There, that'll help.
I'm still trying to troubleshoot things.
So we still have lots of folks coming in to the Zoom, so we'll wait a few more minutes, not long though. And just a reminder that we are recording, and we're also live on Facebook, I think. So
I'll
So
check
we're
for you.
supposed to mind our manners. That's what you're saying.
it's a reminder to myself.
My language, right? Yeah.
I think my mom is on here, so we really have to watch our P's and Q's.
Her name.
Hi, Mom.
What is your mom's name, Betsy?
Mom. Betsy's mom.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Mom.
Her name is Carol, and she
Hi, Carol.
probably doesn't have her picture up. So So good to see everybody. I want to like say hi, everyone. Bob
Funny
Pennycook is
'cause
here.
every time I go to smile, I remember that no one can see it.
Yeah. You have to smile with your eyes.
Yeah.
Smile with your
We
eyes.
can see it. Your cheekbones. move
Yeah.
your mouth up and down.
You have to be like
There you go,
watching it
Betsy.
happen.
Okay.
Oh,
You are officially live. I tested.
Okay, perfect.
All right.
Thanks.
All right, we'll wait one more minute and then I'm gonna go ahead and hopefully this doesn't backfire on me and just let it so people can come into the room on their own. Turn off the doorbell. All right.
Turn off the doorbell.
So, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm going to mute everyone if that's okay really quickly. Does that mute me? Okay, let's see. Oh, it got really quiet. Okay, can you hear me? Okay, perfect. Well, welcome so much. It's really, really quiet now. I feel like I should unmute some of you just for some sound. My name is Betsy Rosenchuk. I am the founder and executive director here at Home Sweet Home, and I'm actually at the warehouse. And there are, I think, 56 of us here in this room, and so this is probably the biggest group we've had yet, which is super, super exciting. We also have presenting today Lisa, who is in the warehouse. Say hi, Lisa.
Hi.
So Lisa, for those that don't know, but I think we know everybody here. Hi, Kathy. Lisa is the volunteer coordinator through Vista, and we are ready and have some information to share with you all about reopening. So we actually have a PowerPoint. We're very official today. So I'm going to pull that up. Okay, one more second. Can you see?
Yes.
Just this one, okay.
Yeah.
And you can't see my notes. Perfect. All right. And at some point I will stop just because there are a lot of people and there's a lot of background noise. That's why I'm going to keep everyone muted. But I'll stop after each slide and we'll answer any questions. You can also, just a reminder for those that can find it, there's the chat option. So you can always throw up some questions to everybody on there. If you think of something pops into your head, you can throw it onto the chat option. So again, welcome to Home Sweet Home. We really, really appreciate everybody's patience and understanding. We have been down since like March 17th or 18th. And while it wasn't an easy decision to temporarily stop serving clients, we obviously now in hindsight know that it was the best thing to do for all of our staff and our clients and our community in general, right? So we're just really, really grateful for everybody's support to keep us going through this whole thing. So we are ready, like the rest of the county and the state and I guess the country, to kind of look at what does reopening look like for Home Sweet Home. And actually before I start, I want to say, I don't think she's on here, but Melissa, for those that know Melissa, who is our donation logistics coordinator, Melissa's last week will actually be this week. And so maybe Lisa Bergman could pop Melissa email into the chat, and if people want to send her little notes, emails this week, she might really appreciate that. since we won't really get to see her in person. And we're in the process of hiring for Melissa's position and have some amazing candidates. So we're really excited about that, even though we're really sad to see her go. So just a heads up on that. Thank you to the staff and the board members who helped us put this together. The board has been, like we talked about a few weeks ago when we did the Zoom, really, really supportive and smart about how we are planning, how we're spending money, how we're looking at safety. And we just really appreciate both the staff and the board's support through this time. And it's really what make or breaks a good organization right now, right? So we're really proud of everybody. Thanks specifically to the board members that kind of helped us with this task force to look at how do we reopen safely. Christy, Ian, Mike Fisher, Jennifer, and Cindy, and then staff members included Janet, Lisa B, Sean, and myself. And then Lisa Long made it all look beautiful. So it's really a team effort as usual. We're looking at a start date of June 1st is the date we're looking and proposing at starting. And right now we're on track for that. The items that we're looking specifically at whether or not June 1st is our date, that's next Monday, is we're watching really the infection rate in the state of Missouri, and is the infection rate continuing to go down for 2 weeks? And it kind of has, steadily has, so we've continued to keep that as our start date. We know that our strategy will definitely change as we keep moving. This plan is gonna have to definitely be fluid. We actually created the plan, ran it by the board, got some more details, changed it, and then Sean and I were at the warehouse a few weeks ago and realized we had to change the plan already, right? There's just already so much stuff in here. So it's definitely a fluid system. And all of this is like best case scenarios. So if something changes, we'll adapt. I once heard somebody not too long ago, I don't know if it was a podcast or whatever, said, startups and nonprofits are used to adapting. And so they have a higher likelihood of kind of coming out of this with good spirits, because if you've ever spent a day in this warehouse, you know that very quickly things can change and pivot, and you think everything's going just fine, and then a tractor trailer pulls up full of furniture, right? So we know how to be fluid with the situation. Just to start off really quickly, just to let you know, as we're going through this, we have 2 big changes that are really going to affect our mission. But we feel that they're most important for everybody's safety. So right now, the biggest one is for right now, we are not going to have clients come into the warehouse to shop. Yes, so we know that is going to be the biggest change for everybody. We know that that's the part that the volunteers love the most, right? We know that that's so important to the clients to give them that dignity and that pride in what they're getting. But we just don't feel it's worth their health risk to have them get on a bus full of people, come to the warehouse full of people, ride the bus home full of people. It just exposes them to so many additional touch points to potentially catch coronavirus. And our clients have a lot of health risks, right? And often a lack of health insurance. So Sean, some of you know we already do some shopping for clients when they're not able to get here. So Sean is really good about having that conversation with them. And we've talked with a lot of other furniture banks, and some of them have digitized that process or moved it online or to Zoom. So that's something that Sean is keeping in mind, that if there's some options that work for both us and the client, we're certainly happy to do. But right now, he's just kind of doing what he normally does when a client can't come in and shop, spending a lot of time talking on the phone with them about the details of what they like, what their space is, maybe sharing pictures back and forth. So he's going to do the best possible job that he can, but it's just the best way to keep everybody safe right now. And then for the other big change, and again, this is short-term temporary, we think the client thing might be longer-term temporary, is that right now we're just having staff in the building. So we're going to wait until it's safe for everyone to add more volunteers to the mix. We all know as everybody's opening, 2 weeks we'll be able to tell a lot, and then we can go from there and kind of look and see what that looks like. If that infection rate continues to drop, then that tells us, hey, maybe we can move forward in adding some capacity to all of that. And for those that are curious about when I say infection rate, I'm going to put in the chat a link to what we're using to monitor that infection rate, because it's just kind of interesting to see the data there. So I'm going to go on to the next slide. Maybe. Okay, I think it worked. So the first step, which we technically called stage 0, is, oh wait, Lisa, is this the part you're supposed to do?
Yep, I was wondering if you're going to
Okay.
take over for me.
No, sorry. So I'm going to turn it over to Lisa to walk us through the next step. Thank you.
Okay, so when we created the plan, like Betsy said, we already had to make some adjustments. So this week is like our stage -1. So like I showed some of you who were on early that Sean is already shopping. And I showed you that we have a very full loading dock of stuff. So we have to create, so in stage 0, our goal is to organize the warehouse in order to create a quarantine zone so that when we get incoming donations, we're not spending a lot of effort trying to sanitize and all those kinds of things, particularly since the virus doesn't live long on stuff. So our goal is to provide a safe area that we can put all the stuff to sit for a week, but we have to create that space first. So the idea is this week, Sean and Scott are gonna do 3 client deliveries, and just to kind of get some stuff out so that we have some more moving space to start creating that quarantine zone. So we're really blessed that we have so much stuff, but we have to figure out a way to utilize our space efficiently. We're going to be following CDC and county guidelines. So the 6 feet apart for staff as much as possible, wearing masks. We're going to be setting up hand washing stations in the warehouse, as well as getting the warehouse bathroom to make sure that that's functional as well. We're not going to be using the kitchen and any shared spaces as much as possible. And then day 1, June 1st, we're going to have a staff training. We're going to do it in the warehouse to where we're all sitting at different tables in the kitchen area. So that we make sure that all the staff are on the same page for how all the procedures are going to go, how the delivery is going to look, how the shopping is going to look, how all of the different pieces will look now with staff, so that we make sure that staff are all aware. We're going to be setting up the hand washing stations. We're going to be beginning to prepare the quarantine area, but I think because there is so much stuff, we won't really be able to finish having the quarantine zone set up until stage 1 comes along, which you'll learn about shortly. And then we're going to start setting up signage to help when people come to the warehouse, because we're only going, like the front door will be locked. We don't want anyone inside the building unless it's absolutely necessary. And then the only access point will be the dock door, and we're only going to have that accessible on certain days. So no one besides staff can come inside the warehouse. And then, so we'll have signage that directs everyone to where they can go or how they can find out what's happening. And then we're gonna have, Sean is already in communications with all the partner agencies, but he'll finish making sure that everyone understands the new process, so that when case managers are referring clients, they can let the clients know sort of like what it's gonna look like now. And then the most exciting thing is we're gonna have the washer and dryer finally set up and usable. Woohoo!
Good.
Did I miss anything?
I don't think so. I'm going to, actually, you can unmute yourself. So if you have any questions on the specific stage, feel free to unmute and ask.
Protecting with all your heart. Simparica Trio.
I'm trying the $200 cream, the $400 cream. Regenerous microalgae cream. Makes my skin feel so.
No, I unmuted us.
Do you have a question, Kathy?
John does.
Well,
Oh.
Betsy, I was wondering, and I'm assuming you probably already thought of this, but a lot of clients, of course, won't have access to the internet, and I guess they'll be working through the people that they work with.
So it depends. It's a yeah. The short answer is yes. It'll be a case by case basis. So Sean works really closely with either the case manager or the client. And there are times where we have to go through the case manager. So yeah, so sometimes it will be through the case manager. Sometimes it is hard to get a hold of a client even by a text message, right? Just to
Yeah.
get them here for their appointment. So that definitely could be tricky, but you know, Sean's really patient and diligent and will do whatever it takes to try to figure out the best way to get a hold of that client and get them some stuff.
Assume
Yeah.
that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Good question.
Hey, Melissa, Betsy, it seemed to me that there was a really big backlog of furniture and stuff in the warehouse and in the Kirkwood warehouse. I didn't know if that was still the case and if you had thought about waiting to take donations until you'd cleared some of the backlog.
That will lead us to the third or fourth slide. Yes, we will. That was definitely the plan. Good thought.
So essentially, and I don't think I made this clear, we will not be accepting donations this week, nor next week, nor the following week. So we are still currently not accepting donations because we do not have a quarantine zone set up.
Yeah, I've stated recently to people, particularly people that are not familiar with the scene here in Queens and other areas of New York City, that at this point, everyone in the parish has been impacted
Okay.
by
Gonna go
knowing
back
someone
and mute folks.
that has died.
Okay, so we're gonna go on then to the next slide and let's see, what does this say? So Lisa talked about getting the warehouse ready. So then after the warehouse is kind of set up so that we and the staff can operate safely, then the moving team will start delivering more furniture, right? So going back to Nina's point of there's so much stuff in there, we're gonna do nothing but deliver furniture for the first week or maybe plus some. So this is where the biggest health risk comes in to both our clients and our staff, right? Because there's a lot of interaction at this delivery point. And so one of the things that we did was we actually helped lead a conversation with other furniture banks around the country and Canada to kind of get ideas like how were they going to do it? How are they kind of trying to navigate all those risks? And what we learned is most of them were either having the clients pick up that furniture or doing what they call curbside delivery, right? So kind of like when you order groceries, they just leave it on the front step. We didn't think that this would work for our clients. We didn't feel that it gives them any pride or dignity, especially if they're not getting able to pick out the furniture. And honestly, most of them wouldn't be able to get it in from the curb, at least without bringing in the use of a bunch of outside friends or people in the building or something that actually kind of puts them more at risk, right, than our staff that might be trained on how to do something. And so we are going to continue delivering that furniture inside the home if the client wants it. Now, if they do say, you know, I'd really rather outside people not come into my house, that's also completely acceptable. And so we are still going to deliver that furniture inside. We feel that's probably safer for our families. The staff, again, is going to be trained in how to follow all those CDC guidelines and OSHA in terms of when we're delivering. We're going to have hand washing stations on the truck, as well as obviously disinfectant and the hand sanitizer. And we're just going to bring it in the home. So in the past, we've gone in the home and, you know, if they don't like the couch here, we'll move it there. We'll set up the beds. This is simply, we're getting the furniture inside that door. We're going to ask that the rest of the family is in another room and that the client is wearing a mask. We'll bring a mask if they don't have one. We won't at first, especially, we won't necessarily do the big buildings with lots of elevators and anything with lots of touch points. Might just be too risky right now. So Sean is going to have to assess each individual client and their kind of household situation as they come in. But again, Sean is always really good at, you know, if this doesn't work for this client, we'll figure out a way to make something happen. And in the beginning, to avoid cross-contaminating, if one family would potentially have coronavirus, we don't want to take the chance to accidentally take coronavirus from one at-risk family to another. And so we typically deliver each truck. So there's 2 trucks. Each truck would do 2 deliveries pre-COVID. Now each truck will only serve 1 family per day. And then that team will come back and disinfect and sanitize and change their clothes. And so we're going to see how that works at first and kind of catch everybody's ideas, kind of feel out the staff and watch that infection rate. If all of our staff feels like, hey, this is working, we feel safe, clients are, you know, being rock stars, and that infection rate goes down, then we can look at when do we start adding a second delivery to each truck. So it means we're going to move a little bit slower. But we are still looking at the option to add a 3rd truck because we do have some reimbursable funds to do that. And so that would kind of help again then increase that numbers. But that's going to be just kind of the biggest change. So we're going to spend another week or 2 doing that. That starts around June 8th. And again, disinfecting, cleaning everything when that moving team comes back, and then them washing their clothes so they don't have to wear that same clothes home. If you have any questions.
Before you do that, 1 second.
Yep.
So even when we're doing the delivery with the clients, there's also going to be some, like Sean will communicate with the clients about what they're expecting on their end. So let's say they have 5 kids. Ideally, the goal would be that everyone else is going to be in a separate room that isn't interacting, and that typically in the past, the movers would have set up the furniture. They would put the beds in which rooms the beds would go in, and the couch in the living room and all that kind of stuff. But they're really focusing on just getting the stuff inside. So it'll all mostly just be put into a front room, if that makes sense. And then there are a few questions that have come in. It says, will staff go through daily health checklists before interacting and also delivering to clients? And that is part of the county and CDC guidelines. We will have a temp check and a questionnaire that we have to fill out every day when we come into the warehouse.
Yep, and that would be the same for any person that enters the warehouse. So once we start bringing in volunteers, if the CDC and county requires that, then we would have any additional people do that too.
And then another question that came in was, should I, someone with Doorway, should I reach out to Sean about a referral that was sent for a client? You can totally reach out to Sean. He's totally fine with that. He is keeping track of all of them, and he will be checking back in with all referrals that have come through. It just may be on a time lapse.
Yeah.
So again, this week during stage 1, the delivering and making space, we are still not accepting deliveries, and we are still not doing donation pickups.
Good clarification. All right.
Any other questions?
So the soonest the donation pickup, like mattresses, would be not even till June 15th, is that right?
June 18th.
What? Pardon me?
June 18th.
Before you do pickups?
Yes.
Correct.
Oh, limited donation. Okay.
So you want to take us to the next slide, Lisa?
Sure. So into phase 2, I know that everyone has been doing a lot of spring cleaning, and so we're trying to prepare ourselves for a very heavy hit of incoming donations. So we want to make sure that our quarantine zone is set up and properly prepared. So I know everyone's big question is, when will you pick up my furniture, or when can I drop off all the stuff that I've been sorting through in my house since I've been sitting in my house for a long time? So all of that we will start taking June 18th and 19th. So a little different than before, we are only going to accept donations on Thursdays and Fridays. And the reason for this is, if you think about, so we considered all the different scenarios, and we just don't have enough space to create 7 different quarantine zones. So if we accepted donations every day, we would have to have a separate area to say this is the Monday stuff, so that the next Monday it would be ready. And I just don't think we have enough space for that, as well as to keep people safe. If we allow staff to be designated to do certain things, then it's less cross-contamination, because we're considering everything in the warehouse currently clean and quarantined, because it's been sitting here for 2 months plus. So we don't want to, be moving client stuff while also accepting donations. So we're trying to separate those two processes. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we will be doing what we did the week before, where we're just doing shopping for clients and delivering. And then on Thursdays and Fridays, we will accept donations as well as do pickups. So the trucks will likely, it hasn't been fully decided, we're gonna try it out, but they will likely do 2 routes of pickups on Thursday and Friday. So there'll be 4 different routes of pickups, which is still not gonna be quite as much as what we would have done in a week previously, but we're gonna do our best to get caught up on all the pickup requests. The pickups will be as touchless as possible. So it's gonna be outside pickups only for the foreseeable future, hopefully not too terribly long, but again, we're watching that infection rate and we wanna keep the highest risk activities include being in an enclosed space with people you don't know. So we want to keep it outside only and touchless as possible. And again, drop-offs. We're still tinkering with what the process will look like, but we're looking at making, again, as touchless as possible. Again, the front door will still be locked, so everyone will have to come to the dock doors. We'll have signage up for that. At the dock doors, we're gonna have like a board with instructions that will basically tell people to stay in their car, that they have to wear a mask. They'll roll down their window, we'll give them verbal instructions based on, are they a pickup truck with big furniture on the back? Are they a tiny car with boxes in their trunk? Something of that nature. So we'll have a conversation, that lovely 6 feet away. And then we can make a determination on what's the safest way that we can get the stuff from their vehicle to our loading dock without the 2 of us interacting. And then we're also looking at the tax receipts and donor registrations. So tax receipts, we'll have the email posted that if they want a tax receipt, they have to email an email and then that tax receipt can be emailed to them. And then we're also going to be taking all the donor registrations verbally. This is also really good because then if the worst case scenario happens where someone does come down with COVID, we would be able to contact trace who was all interacting with us that day or that week. So we will still really have to take the registrations, but it will not be me giving a piece of paper for a donor to fill out. It'll be me typing in information on a tablet and them telling me it from 6 feet away. I hope that covers it.
Yeah, I think so. The one addition to this is we want to thank Woodard too. So Woodard, a local company here, will actually come out and treat our warehouse and our trucks once a month. So while that doesn't provide continuous long-lasting support, it does prevent coronavirus from sticking on objects or spaces for 2 weeks. So that provides some amount of, additional security and safety for both our clients and staff and volunteers when they're back. So thanks for Woodard for being willing to do that for a little small nonprofit like us.
See, this is Deb Frank.
Yep.
I was wondering, I have a question
Do it.
about donors who want to schedule a pickup. At what point does it make sense that they should call Home Sweet Home to try to get in the queue line?
Yes, I would not necessarily call, but I would definitely encourage them to fill out their request online.
Okay.
Because we will be able to just knock those out in order. Right now, none of us, this is our first day in for some of us, right? So calling's probably not the best option. But if they fill that out and then whoever that new person is can, bless their hearts, work their way through that list. Yeah, that's a great question.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And then Dawn had a question about her client at St. Patrick's Center. Yes, we definitely know there is a backlog. We don't necessarily have a timeline on those, Dawn, but if just reach out to Sean, make sure he's gotten the referral, right? And it's still in his queue, so he knows. And we're gonna try to move as fast on those as possible. We know that people have been sleeping on the floor for months now, and so or apologize for that, right? So we're definitely make sure Sean knows that referral's in there. He won't mind you just checking on that, just to make sure.
Betsy, I have a question.
Yeah,
Holly. So in my situation with it being a warehouse where it's just me and everything's quarantined, do you have specific donation drop-offs or pickups for businesses compared to just homeowners who are spring cleaning and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Because like my furniture, it's not being touched by anybody except from me wheeling it down to the dock, and
Yeah.
then it sits there for a week, you know. So as far as the Thursdays and Fridays and the pickups and stuff like that, I don't think the drop off would be well, because I wouldn't have my movers be able to drop off
Yeah.
into your dock. But
So I definitely think with our corporate partners like yourself,
Mhm.
So Holly is with McBride, right? McBride. I don't want to say
Mhm.
it wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I don't want to say the wrong company. So
No,
Holly's
fine.
with McBride. So with our corporate partners like Weekends Only and Dow and Slumberland and McBride and other ones,
Mhm.
we do, and we know we have 3 warehouses offsite full of stuff. So part of this is we're trying to find ways, and there are definitely ways, we just haven't figured it out yet, and that we can kind of facilitate the moving of all that bulk stuff
Mhm.
a little bit easier in the meantime, where we know it's different circumstances.
Right. Right.
So you and I and whoever the new person is can kind of touch base.
Mhm.
But most importantly, we need to get some of this out before we can move anything
Absolutely.
in. And then once our movers get kind of the hang of that and feel like they're safe and they're in a role again, then we can figure out how to pull some of those corporate donors back in. Part of this is, our movers haven't lifted furniture in 2 months. They're also like a little weary. They don't want to jump full force. So we're going to have to give them time to build back up. But that's a good question. You and I and the new person will touch base.
Also, on that note, I would love to put a plug for what we are going to want. Like, we can already foresee the things that we're going to be short on, most likely from having to clean out. So we're really going to want to focus on getting small kitchen appliances and like the small side tables. So like coffee tables, end tables, side tables, nightstands, any of those smaller tables will be the things that will run out the fastest. And we'd also like people to consider helping us keep the warehouse full of stuff that is the most usable. So I know that there's probably a lot of like art and decor that people want to donate. We would really love if you like wait on all of that, because they're not in here to pick for themselves. We're not going to try to give them a bunch of stuff that they don't end up wanting. So we are going to pick on a few of that decor items for them, but it's not going to be nearly as much, and it's going to be a lot harder to go, I have this box of things, look through it and pick what you want. So again, it will help us with our space if we can stick to the key pieces of what we need.
If I can just add, we anticipate running low on those the small appliances quickly, as we are doing deliveries first without taking any donations. So if anybody has things like crock pots, small microwaves, toasters, toaster ovens, mixers, blenders, those kind of things, coffee makers, those things we will run out of quickly as our staff starts coming back and manning the warehouse. We will be able to accept shipments that are purchased and delivered directly to the warehouse now. So sometimes people are asking about things they can purchase from our Amazon wish list and other things. So those things would be good options if people are looking for something specific to get to us first, or to purchase to have shipped to us directly.
Good point, Lisa. Thank you.
I have a couple pickup requests already submitted. What's going to be the priority of addressing those, and how will we know? How will we be notified if we're going to get when they're coming? How far in advance?
Jen.
How will we be notified?
We'll probably be in touch, I would say, in the next, I'd say 10 days. So the order that we're going to go is twofold. Definitely the order in which they were received, but also what Melissa's original plan was to just kind of start pocketing. We zone out St. Louis City and County, so that's how she does the pickups and figures out who we're going to win. And so the whole area is zoned out into like 5 or 7 different areas. And I assume that the new person will do the same. We'll kind of figure out, okay, all the people in zone 1, you know, here's all of those, which ones kind of came in first, and kind of go that direction. So it will be a combination of first come, first serve, but also trying to map out the route that makes the most sense. Also, though, prioritizing, honestly, the items that our clients need. So if we start running out of mattresses, that would also change our scope a little bit. We think that actually there's not nearly as many pickups scheduled as there are clients that need stuff. So I don't anticipate that going too slow, but you should hear from us in about 10 days, I would say.
What, is there a need for mattresses now? Or do you
Right.
guys have? Huh?
Right now, we are good on almost everything, but like Lisa said, the small appliances.
Okay.
Yeah, but that will go really, really quickly. So this will be the interesting thing, right? Like, we know there's a lot of stuff in there, but it's also amazing how fast that it goes through, especially when we're not bringing it in every day. So we might get through the next 4 days and realize, like, all of a sudden, like, oh my gosh, we need more mattresses. And so in that case, we might then actually, Jan, start to reach out to people sooner. But I'm not gonna say that, like, right now we're just kind of sticking to that plan.
Okay,
Does that make
thanks.
sense? Yep.
Betsy,
Nina,
right,
go ahead.
Betsy, right before we shut down, I know we had a shortage of lamps, and I had somebody ask me about that the other day. So is that something we would want right away?
Yes, that is not something that multiplied on its own during quarantine. Yes, thank you, Cindy.
Mm-hmm.
Nina had a comment about sanitation cleaning. Great, Nina, thank you. One of us will reach out to you about that. We did also order something that other furniture banks are using, so we can do some of that in-house. Melinda, thank you for your question. Always, how can we help? How can we help from home? Screen calls. That's a good question. I will hold people to that as we find items that people can help with. I will definitely ask. Some of you know I'm not necessarily good at that, but I think we're all getting better at asking for help. So I know I asked somebody to help with some thank you letters. I know that we're gonna ask the Bobs for a brief project. So I don't know if Bob Carpenter wants to answer my phone call later, that I might have something for him. And then Bob Pennycook I want to do a shout out real fast I'm going to unmute you, Bob Pennycook. Would you like to tell us what you've been doing while you've been at home quarantining?
Yeah, I made, I think it was 20 kitchen tables, 9 coffee tables, and 2 end tables. 31 or 32.
Yeah, so thank you for that. That's super sweet. So as we find things, Melinda, we'll definitely reach out, and people can always tag into Lisa Bergman for volunteer opportunities.
Also on that note, I would say, like, as we're trying to figure this out, so I know that everyone is really eager to help, and we really, really greatly appreciate it. And it's not that we're not trying to include you, because let me tell you, I'm trying to be as creative as possible to get everyone engaged as possible. But there's also a big learning curve for us, because we're still figuring it out. So as we're going through this learning process, I don't know what we need help with yet, because we don't actually know quite how it's going to work out. So we have to test the process before we know what's needed and stuff.
Yeah, good point. Thank you. Cherie says loves the idea of having new items shipped to the warehouse from Amazon. We're ready, Cherie. So if people like that idea, the link has been updated and it is on the website under the donate tab for that Amazon link, but also, you know, you all have the Kohl's Cash or whatever. Lucy says yes. The question is, can movers still decline pickups? Yes, they can, and they will decline them even at the curb. And we'll probably have to be even more strict now than ever, but they absolutely can do that. So yes, Diana or Linda, you said that, can we accept items from Kohl's and Amazon? Yep, we're gonna be here even if limited capacity, and our delivery people know how to get that stuff to us. Let's see. Everyone loves Bob's. We would love to see pictures of what's been made. Oh, yes. We can definitely post that picture of Bob's tables. So we'll post that on the website and social media. Good idea, Betsy. Okay, we're going to go on to the next slide and then kind of wrap up and finish answering questions.
Okay, just real quick.
Yep.
On the shoot, now where did my thought go? Oh, I know I promised volunteers that I would be sending out the recording of this. So if you are on my volunteer list, I will send out the Amazon wish list in that email as well if you have trouble finding it.
Good idea. So then the next stage, so the stages are organize the warehouse, move some stuff out of here, start pickups again, and then kind of we'll have some variation of that as we watch all of of how the community, sorry, I have coffee ground stuck in my throat, as the community is kind of working its way through COVID. At some point, we are going to figure out what is working, when can we wrap volunteers back in. Volunteers are absolutely instrumental to this mission, but we can't do it without them, but we also know that we just need to figure out A, what we're doing in here first, and B, how can we keep everybody safe in that process. And so we know that's really going to be probably the most difficult piece for some of you, so we just really ask for your patience as we kind of move forward. But our goal is to get folks back as soon as we're safe. It will look different. It might mean, though, that we're going to look at this as opportunities, right? So maybe this means this is an opportunity for us to provide some weekend opportunities. And instead of having, I mean, there were days in here, right? We would come in on a Thursday and there's 30 volunteers and staff working. We might not see that for a while, but what it might mean is we have smaller shifts and people doing really specific tasks. Might mean that we have some evening opportunities, that we have some weekend opportunities, that we're just doing smaller groups of people, but we're trying to find ways to incorporate everyone in a safe process. And then ultimately our ultimate goal is to get back to those days where we would come in and the warehouse has 5 shoppers and it's Thursday and there's 100 people here and there's stuff being dropped off and there's massive chaos. That's what we're hoping to get back to again, with the clients and everything back to normal. And of course, we, just like the rest of the country right now, don't have a timeline for that. But know that that is the goal, that clients are coming back, that we're not hoping that this is a change to be more quick and speedy in the process. Our goal, we know what we have works, so our goal is to get back to that as soon as we possibly can. And then for those that want some information, we will post all updates specifically on our website on this COVID page, but also just watch social media, Facebook and Instagram. Excuse me, Instagram, because Lisa, sorry, does a really great job of keeping that updated as we move forward. So questions, concerns, you guys have had some great ones so far.
Just a quick clarification on those last 2 pieces. We do not have a date. There is no idea yet, like there's no solid date that I'm going to be like, oh yeah, volunteers are coming back this day or something. We're not sure, because again, we want to test out the systems we're putting into place, and then we will have a better idea to see how things are going, and if we can come up with a safe way for volunteers to come back sooner rather than later, we're going to aim for that.
What questions do you have? Yes, Berta, your question is, can we post the Amazon request on social media again? We sure can do that. And thank you for everyone saying how thoughtful we've been. This has certainly been an exercise in a whole new world we didn't know we needed to think about. But there's been, St. Louis community's been super supportive at all kinds of webinars and learning opportunities to kind of figure out what works and what doesn't. Board members have been great about sharing things that work at their local corporations that have a lot more people in the room thinking about this stuff than we do. So they've been really great at sharing information too that helps us work. I don't know. No one has questions. Yeah, go ahead, Nina.
Through one of my SOS site visits, I met a really impressive group called the St. Charles Community Council. They have a huge project, a homeless hotline and case managers. And I did the site visit February or something before COVID and told them about Home Sweet Home, and they were all excited. So I know I sent you an email about them. Is there a way to tell where they are on the wait list to start being able to do referrals or get furniture?
Yeah, so they're in St. Charles though, you said?
They would probably be able to send a truck over to pick up stuff.
Okay, so I could reach out to them and we could have a better conversation. We're still only really operating in St. Louis City and County. And we were moving towards continuing to add new organizations to our list of partner agencies, but right now I think we have to actually stop adding new partners because we're going to be slower at delivering, right? It's going to take us longer to do that. There is a place in St. Charles that I can give them some information about that might be able to help them. So yeah, I'll look for your email and kind of get back to you on that one. So don't let me forget.
Well,
Okay,
Nina,
thank you.
this is Holly with McBride. I might be able to help you out too in the time being if they're needing furniture, because we're going through and doing another purge of our warehouse. So, if you want to, Betsy, if you want to give her my information or something like that, maybe that's something I can help her out with in the time being because I've got stuff that's ready to go.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Betsy?
Yeah, Vicki.
Yes, I will, my No Mask Left Behind, we will commit to the 40 adult and 10 children face masks. And these are the ones that are lined with coffee filters. So if you want them by next week, when would you prefer to have them?
No rush necessarily. So thank you to everybody I think that people have made over 500 masks for Home Sweet Home partners, our clients, our staff. So thank you. And Vicki's group is continuing to do that. No rush. We're set right now, but we know that once we start delivering to families that these will go fast. So, in a month, we're probably good for the next 30 days. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
That's awesome. Do you have does your group have a Facebook page or anything? Because I can thank you guys on our social media.
No, we're just a small group in a neighborhood in Chesterfield that has started doing this. And we've made and distributed over 700 to neighbors and family. So we're just doing it. Betsy has my contact information. If anybody, you can send me an email.
Okay. So, can I thank you as Vicki Haugen and No Masks Left Behind?
Correct.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then did you see Lucy's question? How did T-shirt sales go and how much was raised?
Oh, that's a great one. I didn't see that. Lisa Long, do you want to,
I don't know the numbers on the second round. What was the final on the first?
I don't remember. I just know that there's been over $2,000 raised for Home Sweet Home through those sales. I think is what the number I last saw. So I don't know how many it was. That was a lot.
It was a very nice shot in the arm. I don't know the final numbers because it all got a little crazy there in the end. I know they've been working frantically to get the shirts done. I don't know if anybody has received theirs yet because I know I ordered from a few different companies, so I don't know if that slowed it down because they have to wait to get all the different ones done, but I still haven't gotten mine yet, but I can't wait to see one from somebody when they get theirs. So if anybody gets them and wants to send me a picture, I'd love to see it, but it was
I know they're
waiting on mine
because other people I'm seeing, maybe not Home Sweet Home, I'm seeing other organizations, folks that I see t-shirts with are posting photos. So I know they're in their way on their way.
They had like one person in their shop printing all by herself and trying to ship them out. And I think they made even more than they even anticipated selling through this thing. So I really appreciate anybody who purchased them. And it was a really nice way to have a little bit of extra money coming in a fun way. So thank you everyone who supported us through that.
Yeah. All right. Any final questions, thoughts? We really, again, really appreciate everybody's time. Anything else? Berta, do you have anything wise you want to share? No? All right. So best way to keep up, if you have specific questions, we do have phones here, obviously, but probably the best way to get to us right now is email. All the emails are online on the website, and definitely feel free to reach out via social media. Again, we appreciate your help. We look forward to next week. Sean and Scott are probably getting ready to load the truck now so that we can get started on some of these deliveries, and we just appreciate everything. Continue to spread the word, stay in touch, and I feel like it will be sooner than later that we'll be able to see your faces in person. So, thank you.
Thank you, Betsy.
Before you go, I know that some of you, I don't recognize your names and things like that. And if you're interested on being on, I have a volunteer email I send out that if you want to be on that list, you can feel free to email me at volunteer@homesweethomestl.org.
Uh-oh. I cut out. Hey, Lisa, are you there? Lisa B.
You like remuted me or something. That was weird. Okay. So if you want to be on my email updates that I send out to volunteers, I put it in the chat, but it's just email me at volunteer@homesweethomestl.org, and I can get you added to that list as well if you're not already on it.
All right. Well, everyone is unmuted, so feel free to say goodbye. Bye. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Betsy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.